Hi folks, how you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I hope you're finding the love and you're witnessing the blessings in life in these difficult times. It is hard, my friends, but we are all in this one together. I'm offering these devotions as my little bit of hope, I suppose, doing what I can, playing my role, being a part of the solution. They are offered as a balm for the heart, the mind, the spirit and the soul. The title for today's devotion is Boomerang Spirituality. A true realist has to be an idealist. So I invite us just to still ourselves for a few moments in silence. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of love and truth and acceptance and belonging in this cup of love. Know that you're welcome here as you are, exactly as you are. Join this time, this space of love and compassion. Be who you are this moment. Know that you are loved, that you are welcome as you are, exactly as you are, wherever you have been, wherever you are going next. You are loved as you are. Please know that to be true. Last September I found something unexpected in the small schoolroom back at the chapel. There on the windowsill was a boomerang. At the time I had no idea where it had come from, and I spent the next week asking everyone that I saw from all the variety of groups if they knew anything about it. In the end I did discover who it belonged to. It had been left there by someone attending one of the many variety of 12-step recovery groups who used the small schoolroom throughout the week for meetings. He'd brought the boomerang for his sponsor, as it seems that Bill Wilson, one of the founding members of Alcoholics Anonymous, had an obsession with the boomerang. And the boomerang is regarded as a deeply symbolic implement in a variety of spiritual circles. I was thinking about the boomerang as I drove a few days later. And as I drove, I looked up and noticed one of my favourite sights in the whole world. A flock of Canada geese flying in their usual V formation. Anyone who knows me will be aware that I have a fascination with Canada geese. Of all the animals, I regard them as my spiritual totem, if you like. It was a small group of geese, and I thought to myself, it seems a bit early for geese to be flying to Europe for winter. I noticed several more as I walked by the canal over the next few days. Now, it took me some time, but eventually I made sense of all this. The geese that were flying above me were from one family of geese. The young geese were the goslings of the gaggle, who were now fully grown and taking to flight. It was the same with the groups I observed on the canal. They were no longer goslings. These geese were not native to Canada. They were born here. Canada geese were first introduced to Britain in the 17th century. And there are many to be found among the waters of the north of England and in Scotland. So any we see before autumn have not flown in from Canada, but are Canada geese that are native to this land. But even these native Canada geese do return to their homes. It's just that they don't travel as far as the ones that were born in Canada. They are like the boomerang in that they do in fact come back home. They return. And they are deeply symbolic of the spiritual life in that they move in circles. They rotate round rather than going in a straight line from A to B. Very few things in life go in a straight line from A to B. Yeah, it got me thinking about the boomerang again. Did you know that modern day competitive boomerang throwers have a special greeting? They say to each other, full circles to you. They are wishing one another that whatever good they do in the world, that it returns back to them in full, if not more actually. The same brings to mind some of the teachings of Jesus from Luke's Gospel. chapter 6. Give and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. And this is echoed in Paul in the second letter to Corinthians chapter 9. But this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. And it is more blessed to give than to receive, from Acts. It seems that these are principles that are core to 12-step spirituality, actually. And they're built around this idea of returning home as you come through a great hardship. Something else that is shared with the boomerang. Isn't this the prodigal son story? As they say in those rooms, keep coming back. There's always a place for you. No matter how far you've been flung or thrown, you can always return home. Return, return, return. Come back again. No one's kept out. Now, for many years, there's been boomerang throwing contests. One of the greats was Barnaby Rue, who is best known for his William Tell trick. To perform his William Tell trick, Barnaby would toss on a cape and a cap. Attaching an apple to his cap, he would, through the use of a wooden peg, he would then throw his knife-like boomerang, and it would go out and would return and slice the apple in half on top of his head. What an incredible feat, don't you think? Returning back to exactly the spot that he threw it from. Now, as I was thinking of the boomerang, and particularly boomerang spirituality, a story came to mind, or part of a story from an ancient Greek mythos, a retelling of the story of Echo, symbolising that what we give off, we get back in return. A man and his son were walking in the forest. Suddenly the boy trips and feeling a pain, sharp pain, he screams, "Ah!" Surprised, he hears a voice coming back from the mountain, "Ah!" Filled with curiosity at this, he screams, "Who are you?" And coming straight back at him is the sound, "Who are you?" This makes him quite angry, so he screams, "You are a coward!" And the voice answered, "You're a coward!" He looked to his father, asking, "Dad, what's going on?" And his dad replied, "Son, pay attention." Then he screams, "I admire you!" And the voice answered, "I admire you!" And then he shouted, "You are wonderful!" And the voice shouted back, "You are wonderful!" The boy was very surprised at this, but he still didn't quite understand, to which his father explained, "People call this echo, but truly it is life. Life always gives you back what you give out. Life is a mirror of your actions. If you want more love, give more love. If you want more kindness, give more kindness. If you want more understanding and respect, give understanding and respect. If you want people to be patient and respectful to you, give patience and respect." This rule of nature applies to every aspect of our lives. And generally speaking, I've found this to be true, although not always true. Life does not always come back exactly as you give off, or not immediately. But generally speaking, this is true. I live with a genuine love for life these days, and a love for people too. I take a fairly positive view of most things. I am an idealist. I live with hope for humanity. This is why universalism speaks to me. It's a hope-filled faith. Yes, it recognises the despair in life, but it also points to the hope that is rooted in this very despair. We do have choices in life. We can either live in fear or in faith that life has so much to offer us. There are many unanswerable questions re the nature of life and the nature of humanity, why wonderful things happen and why the most dreadful things happen. But I don't think we'll find the answers in these whys and wherefores. I have discovered that meaning only really emerges if we live with hope and courage. It does not come in getting bogged down within our individual suffering, but by saying yes to life in answer to the no of fear. We manifest the courage to live in so doing. And this comes in those simple acts of self-giving love, those acts that fill our cup with love as we empty it in service to and for others. Meaning comes as we give from our own cup of suffering in an attempt to help another in their hour of need. A while ago, before lockdown came in, when I was a regular at the gym, I was chatting with a guy there called Nick. He's a personal trainer there. He was apologising to me as he had not responded when I said hello to him earlier. He said his mind was elsewhere. He was about to become a father for the first time and was worrying about how best to bring up his child in this world. Nick is originally from Iran and grew up under a repressive theocracy. He talked about not wanting to impose any religion on his son, but to let him choose for himself. He knows that I'm a minister, but he doesn't know much about the free tradition of which I'm a part of. I listened and I said, I think that the key is to bring up your son with morals and respect, a love for life, a love for others, and a love for himself. I said the key is to see the sacredness of life and to love life. We then went about our business with enthusiasm, it seems. It lifted both our spirits to conversation. It's funny actually, because that morning I really pushed myself on the weights. I seemed to find more energy following that conversation. It seems I'd received far more from it than Nick had. Well, at least that's how it appeared to me. And as I was pushing the weights, a favourite video clip on YouTube came to mind, and it's a grainy old clip of Viktor Frankl, black and white, early 1970s. And in the clip, amongst many things, he says, we have to be idealists in a way, because then we wind up as the true, the real realist. And so you know who said this? If we take man as he is, we make him worse. But if we take man as he should be, we make him capable of becoming what he can be. This was Goethe. He said this verbally. Now you will understand this is the most apt maxim and motto for the psychotherapeutic activity. So if you don't recognise a young man's will to meaning, man's search for meaning, you make him worse, you make him dull, you make him frustrated. While if you presuppose in this man, there must be a spark for meaning. Let's presuppose it, and then you will elicit it from him. You will make him capable of becoming what he, in principle, is capable of becoming. You have to excuse my accent there. I can't quite follow his. I love Viktor Frankl. Of all the great 20th century thinkers, he may well be my favourite. I love the twinkle in his eyes that is so evident in this clip too, as well as his obvious humour. He took what he did seriously, without taking himself too seriously. In this wonderful little clip, he makes an argument for the idealist in all of us, as he points to what we are capable of being, if we would just tap into our God-given human potential. As he says, by definition, the idealist always overestimates what is possible, whereas a realist will only estimate exactly what is possible and no more. In fact, actually, perhaps a realist will ever so slightly underestimate what is possible, just to be on the safe side, just to ensure that they don't overestimate things and aim too high, just to avoid disappointment. Is this truly realistic, though? Frankl suggests by aiming at a realistic level, we always fall short of the mark. By taking a realistic view of people, we are setting them up to fall way short of what they are capable of achieving. Whereas, if we aim high and become idealists about human nature, we can lift people up to where they are capable of reaching. And thus, if they fall short of this mark, they fall to a true realistic level. For Frankl, a true realist must be an idealist. To achieve what we are capable of, we must overestimate what is possible. To become our true selves, we must be optimistic about our nature. To achieve what we are capable of achieving, we must believe that we are capable of more than we're actually capable of. And by giving out more than we think we are receiving, we will receive back far more than we thought was possible. In so doing, we will encourage others to do the same, so all benefit from the pot. This actually is what I've heard described as the strange mathematics of giving. It's classic uncommon sense. By giving out more than we receive, by overestimating what is possible, we encourage others to do the same, and thus they will give out more, and thus we will receive even more than we give. Love will somehow become multiplied by subtraction. Multiplied by subtraction. All we have to do is take the risk. Just give out more than you think you're capable of receiving, or others are capable of giving. See what happens. Give it a go. Life is echo. Life is boomerang. Life is like those Canada geese. What we give out, we get back, and in abundance, as that strange mathematics of giving begins to multiply by subtraction. If we want to know love, we need to give out love and give it out abundantly in this world. We need to risk our whole hearts to that love. We need to be true realists by being idealists about ourselves and humanity and life itself. That's not to ignore the darker side of life, no, far from it. We need to acknowledge what is wrong with this world without becoming weighed down by it. Turning away, we've got to keep coming back, keep returning like those boomerangs or those Canada geese. The kingdom of love is truly within us and among us. It is our task to bring it alive through our lives. It's up to us to raise one another up, to aim as high as we can, and become the people we never knew we were capable of becoming. Keep on throwing. I'm going to end today's reflection with a few words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more, and we can all bless. We can do so by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. So I offer these final words of blessing. Let us return to our lives in peace. Let us deeply regard each other and truly listen to one another and speak what each of us must speak, and be ready in any moment to disarm our own hearts and live as if the realm of love had already begun. So let the realm of love already begin. And may that love go with us in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.